I was sold to the monster who would become my mate, and he had no idea I could rip his throat out with a thought. My name is Aria Clearwater, and 3 days ago I was dragged in chains to the Bloodstone Palace to face the most feared alpha in existence. They told me I was human, weak, powerless, a punishment bride for a king who collected broken things. But they were wrong about everything, and by the time he figured it out, it would be too late for both of us. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the moment everything changed. The auction house smelled like fear and whetstone. I'd been standing on that platform for 20 minutes, wrists shackled, head down, while men with too much power and too little humanity bid on my life like I was cattle. My father had sold me to pay his gambling debts. Not to a merchant or a farmer. No, he sold me to the worst place possible. The Alpha Exchange. Where werewolf packs bought humans for labor, for sport, for things I didn't want to think about. I was 19 years old. I'd never shifted. Never felt the call of the moon. Never experienced anything that would mark me as one of them. The tests had come back negative every single time. Human. Mundane. Worthless in a world ruled by wolves. The auctioneer's voice boomed through the hall. Lot 47. Female. 19. Healthy. Obedient. No pack affiliation. No wolf blood detected. Starting bid, 500 silver. I kept my eyes down. It was safer that way. Drawing attention in a room full of predators was a death sentence. The bids came slowly. 600. 700. These weren't premium prices. I was filler. The kind of merchandise they'd use for manual labor until I broke. Then the room went silent. Not the natural silence of a pause between bids. This was different. Thick. Suffocating. The kind of silence that happens when an apex predator enters the room, and every other creature remembers their prey. I felt him before I saw him. A presence that made my skin prickle and my chest tighten. Power rolled off him in waves, pressing down on everyone in the room. I'd never felt anything like it. It was ancient. Massive. Terrifying. Against every instinct screaming at me to stay invisible, I lifted my head. He stood at the back of the room, and even from a distance, I could see why they called him the Monster King. Kael Bloodstone was huge, at least 6'5", broad-shouldered and built like violence incarnate. His hair was black as midnight, falling just past his collar. His face could have been carved from granite, all sharp angles and brutal beauty. But it was his eyes that stopped my heart. They were amber, glowing with an inner fire, and when they locked onto me, I felt it like a physical blow. He looked at me like I was already his, like he'd already decided what he'd do with me. And none of it would be gentle. 10,000 silver, he said. His voice was deep, rough, commanding. It wasn't a bid. It was a declaration of ownership. The room erupted in whispers. 10,000 was insane for a human. That was breeding stock money. Rare bloodline money. The auctioneer stammered. 10,000 silver to the Alpha King. Do I hear? If anyone else bids, I'll consider it an act of war, Kael said calmly, never taking his eyes off me. No one bid. Sold, the auctioneer squeaked. Lot 47 to Alpha King Kael Bloodstone. I should have been relieved. At least I knew who bought me. At least it wasn't some unknown pack that would work me to death in obscurity. But as Kael walked toward the platform, each step deliberate and predatory, all I felt was dread. He stopped in front of me. Close, he was even more terrifying. His presence was overwhelming, suffocating. He smelled like pine and smoke and something darker. Something that made every nerve in my body scream danger. He grabbed my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. His grip was iron. What's your name? Aria. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Aria. He said it slowly, tasting it. Do you know who I am? Yes, Alpha King. Then you know what happens to things I own that displease me. I swallowed hard. Everyone knew. Kael Bloodstone was infamous. Cruel. Merciless. He'd united the wolf packs through blood and fear. His enemies didn't just die. They suffered. And humans in his territory were property, nothing more. Yes, Alpha King. Good. He released my chin and gestured to one of his guards. Put her in the carriage. We leave immediately. The guard, a massive wolf with scars covering half his face, unlocked my shackles and grabbed my arm. He wasn't gentle. He dragged me through the auction house, out into the cold night air, and shoved me into a black carriage marked with the Bloodstone crest. A wolf's head dripping blood. The door slammed shut. I was alone in the dark, expensive interior. Velvet seats. Gold trim. The carriage of a king. My prison. The journey to Bloodstone Palace took 3 days. I saw Kael only once during that time, when we stopped to change horses. He looked at me through the carriage window, assessing, calculating, then walked away without a word. The other guards talked when they thought I couldn't hear. They speculated about why the Alpha King would pay so much for a human. Some said he needed a new mate after the last one mysteriously disappeared. Others said he liked to break strong-willed females and I must have looked like a challenge. One guard, drunk on wine, said Kael collected rare things and maybe he'd sensed something in me the tests missed. That last one made something stir in my chest. A flutter. A whisper. Like something deep inside me was waking up after a long sleep. But I pushed it down. I was human. The tests proved it. Whatever Kael wanted with me, it had nothing to do with wolf blood. On the 3rd day we arrived at Bloodstone Palace. It sat on a mountain peak, surrounded by dark forests and jagged cliffs. The palace itself was massive, built from black stone that seemed to absorb light. Towers stretched toward the sky like claws. It looked like a place where nightmares lived. The carriage stopped in a courtyard filled with wolves. Dozens of them, all watching as the guards pulled me out. I could feel their eyes on me, curious, hungry, contemptuous. To them I was nothing. Less than nothing. Human. Prey. Kael was waiting on the steps leading to the main entrance. He wore black leather and dark furs, looking every inch the savage king. As I was dragged toward him, he descended the steps slowly, his eyes never leaving me. "Take her to the West Tower," he said to a female wolf with silver hair and cold blue eyes. "3rd floor. Make sure she understands the rules." The woman, who introduced herself as Lyra, the head of household staff, grabbed my arm with claws that dug in just enough to hurt. "Follow me, human. And don't touch anything. Everything here is worth more than your life." She led me through the palace. It was as dark inside as out. Black stone walls. Blood-red tapestries. Torches that cast dancing shadows. Everywhere I looked I saw weapons. Swords. Axes. Claws mounted on walls. This wasn't just a palace. It was a war monument. The West Tower was separate from the main structure, connected by a covered bridge. Lyra led me up 3 flights of spiral stairs to a small room. It had a bed, a wash basin, and a single window with iron bars. "This is where you'll sleep," Lyra said. "You wake at dawn. You work until dusk. You speak only when spoken to. You obey every command without question. If you displease the Alpha King, you'll be punished. If you try to escape, you'll be hunted. If you survive the hunt, you'll wish you hadn't. Understood?" "Yes." "Yes, what?" "Yes, ma'am." "Better." She looked me up and down with disgust. "There are clothes in the chest. Change. Someone will come for you in the morning to assign your duties. Don't make me regret not putting you in the dungeons." She left, locking the door behind her. I heard the heavy bolt slide into place. I was trapped. Alone. In the home of a monster. I should have cried. Should have broken down. But I didn't. Instead, I felt that strange flutter again. That whisper. Like something inside me was stretching. Waking. Getting ready. I pushed it down again. I had to survive. That was all that mattered. That night I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Every creak of the old tower made me think someone was coming. But no one did. I was left alone with my thoughts and my fear. At dawn, a young wolf girl came to get me. She was maybe 16 with brown hair and nervous eyes. "I'm Mira," she said quietly. "I'm supposed to take you to the kitchens. You'll be working there." The kitchens were massive. Industrial. Built to feed an army. Dozens of staff worked there, mostly humans and lower-ranking wolves. They all looked at me with pity or contempt. The new girl. The one the Alpha King bought personally. The head cook, a gruff older woman named Bess, put me to work immediately. Scrubbing pots. Hauling water. Chopping vegetables until my hands cramped. It was hard labor, but I'd done worse. My father had never been kind, even before he sold me. I knew how to work through pain. Days passed in a blur of exhaustion. Wake up. Work. Eat scraps. Work more. Sleep. Repeat. I rarely saw Kael. He was always in meetings or training or away on pack business. But I felt his presence in the palace like a constant weight. Everyone spoke in hushed tones about the Alpha King, about his moods, about the people who displeased him and vanished. 2 weeks after I arrived, everything changed. I was carrying a tray of dishes through one of the main corridors, trying to be invisible, when I heard shouting. I stopped, pressing against the wall. 2 male wolves were arguing in a room nearby. The door was cracked open. I should have kept walking, should have ignored it. But I heard my name. The human girl? Why does he even keep her? She's useless. Can't shift. Can't fight. She's just another mouth to feed. I heard he paid 10,000 silver for her. There has to be a reason. Maybe he wanted a new toy to break. You know how he is. He gets bored easily. Or maybe he sensed something. You know the old bloodlines can hide. Go dormant for generations. What if? Don't be stupid. She tested negative. She's human. Nothing more. I backed away carefully, heart pounding. They were talking about me. About dormant bloodlines. About Kael sensing something. That flutter came back stronger this time. Like something inside me was listening. Responding. I made it back to the kitchens without being seen. But I couldn't shake the conversation. Dormant bloodlines. What did that mean? That night, I went to the small library in the servants' quarters. Most of the wolves couldn't be bothered with human books, but a few were kept for the literate staff. I found an old text on wolf genetics and bloodlines. I read by candlelight, devouring information. Dormant wolf blood. It was rare, but it happened. Ancient bloodlines could skip generations, hiding so completely that even the most sensitive tests couldn't detect them. These wolves were called sleepers. And when they finally woke up, they were often more powerful than any normal wolf because the blood had been concentrating, building, waiting. But sleepers were dangerous. When they woke, it was usually violent. Explosive. Many didn't survive the first shift. Those who did often went feral, lost to their wolf nature. I closed the book, hands shaking. It was impossible. I was human. I'd been tested 3 times. There was no wolf in me. But that flutter, that whisper, it was getting louder. The next day, Kael finally called for me. Lyra came to the kitchens, her face cold. The Alpha King wants to see you. Follow me. And don't embarrass yourself. She led me through the palace to a study I'd never seen before. It was dark, lined with books and maps and weapons. A fire burned in a massive hearth. And there, behind a desk made of black wood, sat Kael. He looked up as I entered, and those amber eyes locked onto me with an intensity that made my knees weak. "Leave us," he said to Lyra. She bowed and left, closing the door behind her. We were alone. Me and the monster. In a room that suddenly felt too small. "Come here," he commanded. I obeyed, walking toward the desk on legs that felt like water. I stopped a few feet away, keeping my eyes down. "Look at me." I forced myself to meet his gaze. Up close in the firelight, he was devastating. Beautiful in the way a predator is beautiful. All power and danger and barely controlled violence. "You've been here 2 weeks," he said. "How are you finding the palace?" The question surprised me. I'd expected commands, threats, maybe violence. Not conversation. "It's adequate, Alpha King." Adequate. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Diplomatic. Smart. "Tell me, Aria, do you know why I bought you?" "No, Alpha King." "Because of this." He stood and walked around the desk. Before I could react, he grabbed my wrist. His hand was massive, engulfing mine. He pressed his thumb against my pulse point. I felt it immediately. A shock. Like electricity. Like something inside me recognized something inside him. His eyes widened slightly. "There. Do you feel that?" I don't know what you mean." "Don't lie to me." His grip tightened. "Not painful, but inescapable. I felt it the moment I saw you at the auction. A pull. A recognition. Something in you called to something in me. That's why I paid so much. Because I knew." "Knew what?" "That you're not human. Not completely. There's wolf blood in you. Old blood. Sleeping blood. And it's waking up." My heart hammered. That's impossible. I've been tested. The tests are designed for active bloodlines. They can't detect dormancy. But I can. My bloodline is ancient. Pure. I can sense other wolves, even when they're hidden. He released my wrist and stepped back, studying me. The question is, what are you? What kind of wolf blood runs through your veins? I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You felt it. The flutter. The whisper. Something inside you is waking up. And when it does, everything will change. He was right. God help me, he was right. But I couldn't admit it. Couldn't acknowledge what I've been trying to ignore. I'm human, I said firmly. For now. He turned back to his desk. But not for long. When your wolf wakes, you'll need training. Control. I'll provide that. Until then, continue your duties. Don't speak of this to anyone. Dismissed. I fled the study, my mind racing. He knew. Somehow he knew. And instead of killing me or casting me out, he was going to wait. To see what I became. That night the dream started. I was running through a forest under a full moon. But I wasn't human anymore. I was something else. Something powerful. Something with claws and fangs and eyes that glowed silver. And in the dreams I wasn't afraid of Kael. I was his equal. His match. I woke up gasping, covered in sweat. My skin felt too tight. My bones ached. And somewhere deep inside I felt it. The wolf. Stirring. Waiting. Over the next month things began to shift. Kael started calling me to his study regularly. Not every day, but often enough that the other servants noticed. They whispered. Speculated. Some thought I was warming his bed. Others thought he was grooming me for something worse. But the reality was stranger. He was teaching me. About wolves. About packs. About power and control and the laws that govern their world. Power respects power, he said one evening as we stood on his balcony overlooking the mountains. Weakness is a disease in wolf packs. If you're weak, you're prey. If you're prey, you're dead. That's why I'm hard on my pack. Why I demand absolute obedience. Because mercy is weakness, and weakness gets everyone killed. That sounds lonely, I said before I could stop myself. He looked at me sharply. Loneliness is preferable to death. Is it? You're the Alpha King. You have everything. But you have no one. Everyone fears you. No one loves you. Love is a luxury I can't afford. Then what's the point? What are you building all this power for if you have no one to share it with? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, you speak too freely for someone in your position. You told me to be honest. You said you valued truth over flattery. I did. But most people are too afraid to take me at my word. He turned to face me fully. You're not afraid of me, are you? I should have lied. Should have said I was terrified. But something in his eyes demanded honesty. I'm afraid of what you can do to me. But I'm not afraid of you. There's a difference. His eyes darkened with something I couldn't identify. Dangerous words, little human. I'm not human. You said so yourself. No, you're not. Which makes you even more dangerous. He dismissed me then, but I felt his eyes on me as I left. Something had shifted between us. Something that felt like the beginning of a very dangerous game. The physical changes started subtly. My senses sharpened. I could hear conversations from rooms away. I could smell things I'd never noticed before. Emotions had scents. Fear smelled like copper. Anger like smoke. Lust like honey and musk. And I could smell all of it on Kael when he was near me. The anger, yes. But also something else. Something hungry and possessive that made my skin heat. My strength increased too. I could carry loads that should have been impossible. I moved faster, reacted quicker. The other servants started to notice. They gave me strange looks. Wider berths. Mira, the young wolf who'd befriended me, pulled me aside one day. Aria, something's changing. The others are talking. They say you smell different. Wrong. You need to be careful. Wrong how? Like you're becoming one of us. But that's impossible, right? You're human. Right. Impossible. But we both knew it wasn't. Not anymore. 2 months after I arrived at Bloodstone Palace, everything came to a head. It was the night of the full moon. The entire pack gathered in the Great Hall for a feast and celebration before the run. I was serving as usual, trying to stay invisible among the dozens of wolves in various states of excitement and aggression. Kael sat at the head of the table, surrounded by his inner circle. Powerful wolves. Alphas of their own packs who'd sworn loyalty to him. He looked magnificent in the firelight, every inch the savage king. I was pouring wine when I felt it. A pull. Strong. Undeniable. Like a rope tied around my chest, dragging me toward him. Our eyes met across the room. His widened slightly. He felt it too. Then the pain hit. Sharp. Agonizing. Like my bones were breaking and reforming all at once. I dropped the wine pitcher. It shattered on the stone floor. The hall went silent. I fell to my knees gasping. The pain was everywhere. In my spine. My skull. My hands. I looked down and saw my fingers lengthening. Claws pushing through the tips. Fur rippling across my skin. No. Not here. Not now. Not in front of everyone. I tried to fight it. Tried to push it down. But it was too strong. The wolf inside me had been dormant for 19 years. Now it was waking up, and it wouldn't be denied. I heard gasps. Shouts. Someone said, "She's shifting. The human is shifting." Strong hands grabbed me. Kael. He'd crossed the room in seconds. Everyone out. Now. But Alpha King, she's out. His command was absolute. The wolves scattered, fleeing the hall. Only his closest guards remained, and even they backed away when he snarled at them. Kael knelt beside me, his hands on my shoulders. Aria, look at me. Focus on my voice. You need to calm down. If you shift now without control, you could die. The first shift is the most dangerous. You need to breathe. Focus. But I couldn't. The pain was too intense. The wolf was too strong. I felt myself slipping, losing control, and then something inside me snapped. Not broke. Snapped into place. Like a door unlocking. Like chains falling away. Power flooded through me. Ancient. Massive. Overwhelming. It wasn't like the trickle of strength I'd been feeling. This was a tidal wave. A supernova. It burned through every nerve, every cell, every fiber of my being. The pain disappeared. The fear vanished. All that remained was power. Pure. Absolute. Terrifying. I looked up at Kael. He was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Shock. Awe. And for the first time since I'd met him, fear. What are you?" he whispered. I stood. The shift hadn't completed. I was still mostly human in form. But my eyes. I could feel them glowing. Not amber like a normal wolf. Silver. Bright. Ancient. "I don't know," I said. But even my voice had changed. It echoed with power. With something older than the stones of this palace. Kael stood slowly, never taking his eyes off me. "Your scent. It's changed. You don't smell like pack. You smell like what? Like the first wolves. The ones from the old stories. The ones who walked before packs. Before hierarchy. The ones who were gods among wolves. That's impossible. So is a dormant bloodline staying hidden for 19 years. So is a human surviving in a wolf palace. Yet here you are." He circled me slowly, assessing. "How much power do you have right now? How much can you feel?" I closed my eyes, reaching inward. The power was immense. Unfathomable. It felt like I could level this palace with a thought. Like I could challenge every wolf here and win. Like I could. My eyes snapped open. "I could kill you." "Yes." He said it calmly. Matter-of-factly. "I believe you could. You're stronger than me. Possibly stronger than any wolf alive. Then why aren't you afraid?" "I am afraid. I'm terrified. Because you could destroy everything I've built. Everything I am. With a thought you could end me." He stopped in front of me so close I could feel his heat. "But you won't." "How do you know?" "Because if you wanted me dead, I'd already be dead. Because you're not cruel. Not yet. The power hasn't corrupted you." He reached up slowly, carefully, and cupped my face. "But it will. Eventually. That much power always corrupts. Always destroys. Unless you learn to control it. Unless someone teaches you. And that someone is you? I'm the only one strong enough to withstand you while you learn. The only one who won't be intimidated into letting you run wild." His thumb brushed my cheek. I told you that you were mine. I meant it. And now I understand why I felt that pull. Why I paid so much for you. Why I couldn't let anyone else have you. You're my mate. The word hit me like a physical blow. What? Mates. True mates. It's rare. Most wolves never find theirs. But when they do, the bond is absolute. Unbreakable. It's why I felt you at the auction. Why you feel that pull toward me. We're meant to be together. Equals. Partners. Two halves of the same whole. But you've been cruel to me. Cold. Distant. Because I was afraid. Because I didn't understand what you were. Because I've never had an equal, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I defaulted to what I know. Control. Distance. Fear. His other hand came up, cradling my face between his palms. But I see you now. All of you. And you're magnificent. Terrifying. Perfect. I should have pulled away. Should have rejected this. But the bond he spoke of, I felt it. That rope around my chest. That pull. It wasn't just attraction. It was deeper. Fundamental. Like recognizing a part of myself I'd lost and finally found again. What happens now? I whispered. Now I teach you to control your power. To shift completely. To be the wolf you were always meant to be. And you teach me to be more than the monster I've become. He leaned in, his forehead resting against mine. Together we could rule everything. Or destroy everything. The choice is ours. That's a lot of pressure. Welcome to being powerful. The next weeks were intense. Kael moved me from the tower to rooms adjacent to his own. No more servants' quarters. No more scrubbing pots. I was the Alpha King's mate now, and that came with a position of power that terrified me. But it also came with training. Brutal, exhausting training. Every day, Kael pushed me to my limits. We'd go out into the mountains away from the pack, where I could practice shifting without destroying anything important. The first complete shift took 3 days. It was agony. My body wasn't meant to change so completely. Bones broke and reformed. Muscles tore and regrew. Skin split and healed. I screamed until my voice gave out. Kael stayed with me through all of it, holding me when the pain was too much, forcing me to continue when I wanted to quit. When the shift finally completed, I was massive. Bigger than any wolf I'd ever seen. My fur was silver white, glowing in the moonlight. My eyes remained that bright silver. And the power, God, the power, sang through me like electricity. Kael shifted beside me. His wolf was huge, black as night with those burning amber eyes. But even he was smaller than me. Less powerful. He bowed his head in submission. The Alpha King bowing to me. I shifted back to human form, the change easier now that I'd done it once. Don't do that. He shifted back as well. You're stronger. That's fact. In wolf society, the strong lead. You should be alpha. I don't want to be alpha. I barely know how to be a wolf. Then what do you want? I want. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Saw past the monster. Past the cruel king. Saw the man underneath. The one who was lonely. Who'd built walls so high no one could reach him. Who needed someone to be his equal so desperately he'd paid a fortune for a girl who might never have woken up at all. I want to be your partner. Your equal. Not your superior. Not your subordinate. Just yours. Something in his expression cracked. Softened. He crossed to me in 3 strides and kissed me. Hard. Desperate. Claiming. I kissed him back with the same intensity, the same need. The mate bond flared between us, bright and hot and undeniable. When we finally broke apart, he pressed his forehead to mine. You're mine. And I'm yours. Whatever comes, we face it together. Together. But being together in a world built on hierarchy and power wasn't simple. The pack didn't know how to handle me. I was stronger than their Alpha King. That made me by rights their alpha. But I had no interest in ruling. I just wanted to figure out what I was and why I'd been hidden for so long. Kael's inner circle was split. Some saw me as a threat. Others saw me as an opportunity. A few, like Lyra and his head guard Marcus, remained loyal to Kael but wary of me. 3 months after my first shift, a challenger emerged. Riker, an alpha from the eastern packs. He was powerful, ambitious, and he'd never liked that Kael ruled over him. My emergence gave him an opportunity. He came to Bloodstone Palace with an army at his back. 50 wolves. All loyal to him. All ready to fight. Kael met him in the Great Hall. I stood at his side as was my place now. The entire pack gathered to witness. Riker, Kael said coldly. State your business. I challenge your rule, Riker announced. You claim to be the strongest. But your mate is stronger than you. That makes you weak. A true alpha wouldn't let anyone surpass him. I challenge you for the title of Alpha King. The hall erupted in whispers. A direct challenge. It couldn't be ignored. By wolf law, Kael had to accept or abdicate. I accept, Kael said calmly. We fight at dawn. To the death. Riker smiled. To the death. That night I confronted Kael in our rooms. You can't fight him. He's trying to bait you. If you fight him, one of you will die. There has to be another way. There isn't. If I refuse, I lose the throne. If I lose the throne, the packs will fracture. War will consume everything. This is the only way. Then let me fight him. I'm stronger. I could. No. His tone was absolute. You're not ready. You've been a wolf for 3 months. He's been one his entire life. He knows every dirty trick. Every weakness to exploit. He'd kill you and I won't allow that. So you'll just let yourself be killed instead? I won't be killed. I'm still the Alpha King. I didn't get here by being weak. But I saw the worry in his eyes. Riker was strong. Very strong. And Kael, while powerful, wasn't invincible. I spent the night awake, pacing, thinking. There had to be a way to help him. To tip the scales. And then I remembered something Kael had taught me. Power respects power. The strong lead. What if I could lend him my power? Share it through the mate bond? It was risky. Untested. But it might work. At dawn I pulled Kael aside before the fight. I want to try something. Aria, if this is another plea for you to fight. It's not. Just trust me. I took his hand and closed my eyes. Reached for that bond between us. The rope of connection. And I pushed my power through it. Pushed my strength into him. I felt the moment it connected. Kael gasped. His eyes widened. What did you? I'm with you. Fight well, Alpha King. The fight was brutal. Riker was strong, fast, vicious. But Kael, boosted by my power, was stronger. Faster. More vicious. They tore into each other in wolf form, all claws and fangs and blood. The pack watched in silent awe. Halfway through the fight, Riker realized something was wrong. Kael was too strong. Impossibly strong. He snarled in frustration and went for a killing blow. His jaws aimed at Kael's throat. Kael dodged and countered. His claws raked across Riker's side. Deep. Fatal. Riker went down, blood pooling beneath him. Kael shifted back to human form, standing over his fallen enemy. Anyone else want to challenge me? Silence. Then one by one the wolves bowed. Even Riker's own pack. Submission. Acknowledgement. Fear. Kael had won. But we both knew it was only because of me. Because of the power I'd shared. And that changed everything. After the fight, the whispers grew louder. The Alpha King was only strong because of his mate. His mate was the real power. His mate could destroy anyone who opposed her. I became a legend in the pack. The Silver Wolf. The firstborn. The one even the Alpha King bowed to. And with that legend came fear. And isolation. The same isolation Kael had lived with his entire life. Now I understood. Power wasn't freedom. It was a cage. A gilded, beautiful, terrible cage. One night, 6 months into our mating, I found Kael on the balcony. He was looking out over his territory, his expression distant. Regret it yet? I asked, joining him. Regret what? Buying me. Waking me. Mating me. All of it. He was quiet for a moment. Then, every day. The word stung. Oh, but I'd do it again. 1,000 times over. He turned to me. You want to know why? Why? Because before you I was alone. Completely alone. I had power. I had fear. I had obedience. But I didn't have connection. Didn't have understanding. Didn't have love. He pulled me against him. You see me. The real me. Not the monster. Not the king. Just me. And I see you. The girl who was sold and survived. The wolf who was sleeping and woke. The woman who is stronger than me but chooses to stand beside me instead of above me. That's worth every regret. Every complication. Every moment of fear. I buried my face in his chest. I love you. I know. I love you too. And that's the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. Because love makes you vulnerable. It gives your enemies a target. It gives fate a weapon to use against you. Then we make sure fate doesn't win. How? By being stronger together than we could ever be apart. By refusing to let fear control us. By choosing love even when it's dangerous. He kissed the top of my head. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. But it's worth fighting for. The months that followed were the happiest of my life. Kael and I ruled together. Not as alpha and subordinate. As partners. Equals. I learned the politics of pack life. He learned to trust. To open up. To be more than the monster everyone feared. But peace never lasts in a world built on power. A year after my first shift, word reached us of a gathering. The old families. The pure bloodlines. They'd heard about me. About my power. And they wanted to meet me. To test me. To determine if I was truly a firstborn or just a powerful anomaly. Kael didn't want me to go. It's a trap. They're threatened by you. By what you represent. They'll try to kill you or bind you or force you into their service. Then I'll show them why that's a bad idea. Aria. I'm tired of hiding. Tired of being afraid. I'm the silver wolf. The firstborn. If they want to test me, let them. I'll pass their test or I'll destroy them trying. He looked at me for a long moment. Then nodded. Together. Always together. We traveled to the gathering at the ancient meeting grounds. A neutral territory where the old families met to discuss matters of power and bloodlines. Dozens of alphas were there. Ancients who'd lived for centuries. Wolves who made Kael look young. They radiated power like the sun radiated heat. But when I walked into that clearing, every single one of them stopped, stared, and bowed. Not out of respect. Out of instinct. Out of recognition. Because they felt it. The blood. The power. The truth. I was firstborn. A direct descendant of the original wolves. The gods among wolves. And my power dwarfed all of theirs combined. The eldest, a wolf who called himself Theron, approached carefully. We felt you awaken a year ago. Felt the shift in power. We needed to see for ourselves. To confirm. Confirm what? That the bloodline survived. That the firstborns weren't extinct. That the prophecy wasn't just legend. What prophecy? Theron smiled. That one day a firstborn would wake. And when she did, she would unite the packs. End the wars. Bring peace. Or bring destruction. The choice would be hers. I looked at Kael. He looked as surprised as I felt. No pressure then. Indeed. Theron gestured to the others. We pledge our loyalty to you. All of us. Every pack. Every bloodline. You are our alpha. Our queen. Our goddess. I don't want to be a goddess. You don't have a choice. Power demands purpose. You have the power to change everything. The question is, what will you do with it? I thought about my life before. The girl who was sold. Who was powerless. Who had no choice. I thought about the girl I'd become. Powerful. Strong. Free. And I thought about Kael. About love. About choosing to be partners instead of rulers and subjects. About what we could build together. I'll use it to protect, I said finally. Not to conquer. I'll unite the packs not through fear but through strength. Through showing them that we're stronger together than apart. And I'll do it with my mate. As equals. As partners. Theron nodded slowly. A noble goal. But difficult. Many will challenge you. Many will try to take your power. To use you. To destroy you. Let them try. And they did try. Over the years that followed, challengers came. Wolves who thought they could take me. Wolves who thought they could manipulate me. Wolves who thought they could kill Kael and take me as their prize. They all failed. Because I wasn't the weak human girl anymore. I was the silver wolf. The firstborn. The most powerful creature in the wolf world. And I had a mate who was my equal in cunning, in strategy, in sheer stubborn refusal to give up. Together we reshaped the wolf world. We ended the constant wars. We established laws that protected the weak. We built a society where power wasn't the only thing that mattered, where compassion and honor had a place. It wasn't easy. Took decades. But slowly the packs changed. United. Became something better than they'd been. And through it all, Kael and I remained. Partners. Lovers. Mates. Two broken people who'd found each other in the worst circumstances and built something beautiful out of the ashes. 5 years after that first shift, we stood on the balcony of Bloodstone Palace. The same balcony where I'd once been too afraid to even look at him. Now it was our place. Our sanctuary. Do you ever miss it? I asked. The fear? The absolute power? Being the monster? Sometimes, he admitted. It was simpler. Lonelier but simpler. Now I have to consider you. The pack. The future. It's complicated. Is it worth it? He pulled me against him, his arms wrapping around me from behind. You're worth everything. The complications. The challenges. The fear. All of it. Because you made me more than a monster. You made me human. Ironic, considering I'm not human anymore. He laughed. True. But you know what I mean. You gave me something to live for beyond power and fear. You gave me love. Purpose. A future that doesn't end in blood and isolation. We gave each other that. Yes. We did. He kissed my neck. What do you want, Aria? Now that we've built all this. Now that you're the alpha of alphas and I'm your terrifyingly capable consort. What's next? I thought about it. About the girl I'd been. About the woman I'd become. About all the power I had and all the choices that lay ahead. I want to live, I said finally. Not just survive. Not just rule. I want to experience things. See the world. Raise pups who are strong and kind. Grow old with you. Leave a legacy that's more than just power and fear. That sounds perfect. You're sure? You don't want to conquer more territory? Crush more enemies? Be even more terrifying? I've been terrifying my whole life. I think it's time I tried something new. Like what? Like being happy. And we were. Happy. Not perfectly. Not always easily. But genuinely deeply happy. Because we'd found what so few ever do. A partner who was truly equal. Who challenged us. Who saw all our darkness and loved us anyway. 10 years after I was sold to the monster who became my mate, we stood in that same auction house. It had been converted into a school now. A place where young wolves learned about their heritage. About power and responsibility. About choosing to be more than their worst instincts. Strange to be back here, I said, looking at the platform where I'd once stood in chains. Regret it? Kael asked. Any of it? I thought about that terrified girl. About the dormant wolf who'd been sleeping. About all the pain and fear and struggle that had led me here. To this moment. To this man. To this life. Not for a second. Even the part where I was cruel to you? Even that. Because it taught me that monsters can change. That power doesn't have to corrupt. That love can bloom even in the darkest places. You're remarkably optimistic for someone who can kill with a thought. And you're remarkably soft for the most feared alpha king in history. He pulled me close. Only with you. Everyone else still thinks I'm terrifying. Good. Keep them guessing. We left the old auction house hand in hand. 2 wolves. 2 powers. 2 people who'd found each other against all odds and built something extraordinary. The pack was waiting when we returned to Bloodstone Palace. Our pups, 3 of them, were playing in the courtyard. Strong. Beautiful. A perfect blend of both of us. They had Kael's dark hair and my silver eyes. His cunning and my power. They were the future. The next generation of wolves who would lead not through fear, but through strength and wisdom. Mom! Dad! Our oldest lyric came running. Watch this. She shifted, her form blurring and changing. In seconds she was a wolf. Smaller than me, but already showing signs of incredible power. She howled, the sound echoing off the mountains. Kael laughed. She's getting stronger every day. She's going to be a handful. She takes after her mother. I was never a handful. You literally destroyed half the training grounds last week, Because you were practicing. That was an accident. An accident that created a crater visible from the next territory. I shrugged. Details. Our other pups joined Lyric. Silas, our middle child, all mischief and charm. And Aria, our youngest, named after me, quiet but observant. They played together, wrestling and laughing, completely unaware of how extraordinary they were. How the entire wolf world watched them, waited to see what they would become. That night, after the pups were asleep, Kael and I lay in bed, tangled together, complete. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For being sold to me. For waking up. For choosing me. For all of it. You say that like I had a choice. You did. You could have left after the mate bond formed, could have rejected me, could have taken your power and built your own empire. But you stayed. Chose me. Chose us. Because you're mine. And I'm yours. That's not a choice. That's fate. I don't believe in fate. Neither do I. But I believe in this. In us. In what we've built together. He kissed me. Soft. Gentle. So different from that first kiss when we'd both been afraid and uncertain. This kiss was promise. Forever. Unbreakable. I love you. He whispered against my lips. I love you too. Monster. Goddess. We fell asleep like that. Two people who'd been brought together by cruelty and auction blocks and desperation. Who'd found power and love and purpose in each other. Who'd changed their entire world because they'd refused to accept the roles they'd been given. Years later, historians would write about the Silver Wolf and the Monster King. About how they united the packs. How they brought peace. How they changed everything. They'd call it legend. Myth. Too perfect to be true. But it was true. Every bit of it. From the auction house to the palace. From weakness to power. From fear to love. It was messy and complicated and painful and beautiful. It was real. And it all started because a weak human girl was sold to a feared alpha king as punishment. And neither of them knew she was actually an ancient dormant wolf who would become more powerful than anyone imagined. Who would make him fall so completely in love that he'd give up being a monster just to be worthy of her. Some stories are about saving the world. This story was about two people saving each other. And in the process changing everything. So if you made it this far, you better hit that like button and smash that subscribe because this is exactly the kind of story you need more of in your life. And drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. United States? Canada? UK? Australia? I want to know where all you incredible people are watching from. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one.